Perfect.
Mr. Jacobson? Here. Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Mathias?
Here.
Commissioner McHale?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any questions or additions to the agenda?
I'd like to take the Dravet Syndrome Foundation off of the consent agenda.
Would you like to speak? We have Robert Wyman.
Yes. My name is Robert Wyman. I'd just like to give you guys an update on the Hill Farm and what we've been up to and what we've been doing. I went out today, in fact, and going out for bids on the foundation repair, because I understand, I have not seen the actual foundation. I've been talking to people in regards to, it's very important to get that fixed before we do the re-roofing. And then I did get a possibly good news is that, I don't know if anybody has heard about ABC Roofing Supply here in Crystal Lake. We're possibly working with them for a donation on roofing material for the barn. So, and then the last thing we're looking into, or second to last thing, is grants, working with the Park District and the City of Crystal Lake to see if there's a grant out there for money for the barn. And then the last thing, I've worked with a gal from University of Illinois in regards to what other ideas we can going forward with the barn. And I don't know if you guys have looked at this yet or not, but it's in regards to maybe a farmer's market for that area. I don't know. I just, after she wrote me back and told me that, I said, that would be a great idea out there, especially with the farm plots out there, with the neighborhood plots. So I just want to give everybody a heads up what we're doing with the barn. Thank you very much, Joe.
We have one, we asked us to read something, and what do you guys feel about
Who else did?
that? Mrs. Miller, Diane Miller.
We all have copies of it in our package.
No, this just came this afternoon.
Well, then it probably should be read. Yeah.
It's with Crystal Lake Park District Board meeting, Diane Miller. I've spoken before about the importance of daily patrols by the Crystal Lake Park District Police in all of our parks, specifically patrols on the trails where they were appropriate. There used to be daily patrols on the walk paths in Little. Those stopped years. I wanted to let you know that daily patrols on the trails on Little Park have started again. How wonderful it was to see Park District officer drive behind our home. It was nice to be able to talk to him and get to know him too. I think safety in the parks is just the responsibility of the park police, partnership between the park police and the citizens who live adjacent to the park. We are their eyes and ears and need to work together. Thank you for resuming.
All right, there's no unfinished business that we have on the agenda. So we have no staff reduction.
We have two and 11.
Yes. So Rocio Ariola Escucha is our HR manager. She started with us last July and she hit the ground running. So it's taken us a while to get her here. So, but she's been doing a wonderful job. I've gotten good feedback from staff with her relations with her. So she's been doing a great job for us. And then Rocio, do you want to introduce?
Sure.
Aaron?
So, like Tita mentioned, my name is Rocio Arreola Escutia. I'm a lifelong resident of McHenry County. Previous to joining the Park District team, I actually was working outside of the county, so I'm very happy to be back and very happy with the decision made to join the Crystal Lake Park District. Thank you for having me here.
And would you like to introduce Aaron?
Sure. And about 2 months ago, we actually hired our safety specialist, which is Aaron Beltran. So he's been with the Park District now for a little bit over 2 months.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Aaron, lifelong resident of California. I relocated out here about 3 years ago. Very happy to be a part of this team. Before that, I was with Amazon and Navy. Luckily, Jason saw the need for this role. Rocio saw something in me, and I couldn't be happier with my new position here.
Thank you.
We get a motion to approve the consent agenda other than item H.
And so moved. Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Kegel?
Yes.
Commissioner Heisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mathias?
Yes.
Commissioner McHale?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Okay, Kathy, you got something on?
I just had a question. The Dravet Syndrome Foundation in their letter wrote that they were going to be serving home cooked food, but charging tickets for it. Don't they have to follow health regulations for selling food?
Yes, and that would all be part of what we address with them.
Okay, so we approve it, but you'll still address it.
Yeah, same with the raffle, they have to provide a raffle license from the city and all that. They typically don't do any of that until this is done, because if we say no.
I just had never seen anyone call out home cooked food before in a letter.
Yeah, they'll have to get permission from the health department.
So I move to approve the Dravet Syndrome Foundation's request.
Second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Spear, somewhere there's.
Aaron's here to give our presentation on the other year of full revenue source bond issuance, so process has started, and he's here to give us an update on what we're doing.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for having me out. Jason and Tina invited me out to present a financing plan pertaining to the issuance of the district's general obligation park bonds alternate revenue source series 2024A. So I've got a lot of information to cover, so if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me as I go. Moving on to slide number 2, we'd like to go over a few definitions first. Starting on the left, you have your property tax supported financing alternatives. The first in the top left is a GO bond. So GO means if the debt service is paid for by a direct property tax levy. These specific GO bonds would be approved via successful referendum. The bottom left-hand corner is non-referendum approved GO bonds. In your case, they're called general obligation limited tax. The board goes through the process of issuing these annual rollover bonds every year to finance its capital improvement plan. And really what we're doing with your annual rollover bonds is that the district has the authority to bill a bonded interest up to a levying capacity. Each year that grows by a CPI adjustment. So what we're doing is we're capturing that levying authority to fund your capital bond. Moving on to the right side, what we're here to talk about this evening is the biannual issuance of your alternate revenue source bond. So the important thing to note when you're issuing alternate revenue source bonds is that these are paid for with existing resources of the district, whether it be from your operating budget, corp fund, recreation fund, and specifically in your case, you fund your alternate revenue source bonds with the annual issuance of your general obligation limited tax park bonds. So what we're doing here is we're using a restricted revenue source, those bond proceeds, to fund your alternate bond payments so that your operations don't have to. So that frees them up again we're just using the more restricted revenue source in this case. So again, when we talk about alternate revenue source bonds, we structure them so that it's what the district can afford. And the district has the practice in 2022 and 2020 to infuse its capital model. And in this case, we're targeting infusing the capital model with $1.5 million in money. So moving down to page 3, just moving into a few more details. When we talk about your GO bonds, this is the district's total debt capacity, and kind of small numbers out there. I apologize about that. But the first column is your non-referendum debt capacity, which is calculated as 0.575% of the district's EAV. This column is going to pertain specifically to your annual rollover bonds. So your non-referendum of the board's authority to approve GO bonds would be in this column. And then the column to the right would be if you had as your total debt capacity, that would constrain any referendum issues as well. The most important thing to note here is that the alternate revenue source bonds don't count against any of this levying capacity. Moving on to page number 4, this is the district's levying capacity on its annual rollover bonds, which will be filling the 2024 levy amount, approximately $1.3 million this fall. And we do that each year to capture the CPI adjustment afforded under state statute. So moving on to page number 5, we get into the actual structure of the alternate revenue source bonds. Again, it's a biannual capital infusion of $1.5 million. I'll read this out. We anticipate closing on July 9th. First maturity would then be December 15th of 24, with the final maturity on December 15th of 2027. So approximately 3.5 years. We're trying to aggressively repay this debt structure as quick as possible. And at the time of modeling, we were anticipating a true interest cost of approximately 3.45%. Moving on to page number 6, even smaller. Here you can see the overlay of the district's total alternate revenue source debt profile. So the 2024As are designed to overlay over the district's 2022 B bonds, and then the 2020 A bonds are reaching final maturity as well. So it's structured over them. But if you could go to page number 7, this is a more consolidated view of the district's financing model. And you can see that in 2022, we infused the district's financing model with approximately $5.5 million in alternate bond proceeds. This year, we're looking to do $1.5 million. And then we structured the debt specifically to fully utilize the rollover bond proceeds from levy year 2024 and 2025. And then we leave a certain amount of space in levy year 2026 so that the district can further continue its biannual $1.5 million capital infusion at that point in time.
We'll do 1 5-year, then 1 5-year, then 1 5-year.
That's what you can do, yeah.
That's what we're going to do. That's the plan.
That is the plan, yeah. But as your debt service extension base grows, obviously other options will come to you. It'll start getting shorter and shorter, exactly.
I'll get shorter.
The alternate bond issue will, yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, eventually, as your rollover bond proceeds grow to a certain amount, we can start accelerating the alternate bonds to the point where, maybe it's just a 1 or a 2 year issue, or maybe we don't even issue them at all. We just take the annual capital that's built.
That's where I'm.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're issuing one bond every other year and 1 bond every year. So 3 bonds every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's issuance cost. Boy.
That is.
And why can't we do that now? Why do we have to? Why can't we go down to just 1 rollover bond issued every other year?
You could. We would have to look at how it overlaps over each other because of the levying constraint, but it's something we could look at.
We could get rid of 2/3 of the cost of issuance.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, it's really not going to make too much of a difference in terms of structure because they're so short in nature. But as it gets shorter and shorter, yeah, I agree. You can potentially look at that
We might
structure.
miss out on a bit of the increase. Right?
Yeah, and
On the second.
I wouldn't structure it so that you couldn't structure it so that you use all of the subsequent levy. You'd have to leave space and then ladder them. So the issues with the limited bonds would then be longer in nature. And the problem with getting them a little bit longer is that they're harder to sell to your local banking institutions, which is what we specifically do to keep costs down. So we want to keep those as short as possible. The difference with the alternate.
I mean, usually this is our bank.
Typically, yeah. But the alternate revenue source bonds are different right now. We are recommending the alternate bond structure, selling in the public markets, which is a separate story. So what's happening with the public markets is that we're engaging an underwriter, or we're competitively selling to an underwriter to buy all of your debt and then break it up into little chunks and sell it to the investing public. And the reason why that's so important right now is that public market rates are significantly better than bank placement rates, significantly better. So that's the recommendation, at least with the alternate revenue source fund.
We're just talking about $1.5 million. It's
Still
worth
still worth it over a 4-year period. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, exactly. In 26, leave ourselves a little bit of capacity to reinfuse if the district were to so choose. And then from there, we accelerate the debt to pay it off as quickly as possible, making it that 3.5-year structure. So moving on to page number 8, just talking about the steps of issuance with the alternate revenue source bond. There are 3 separate board actions that the board will need to take. The first is before you tonight in the form of an authorizing ordinance. So when we talk about issuing general obligation alternate revenue source bonds, what's happening is you're securing them with existing resources of the district. There's a backup property tax levy that's on file with the county clerk. It's the board's responsibility each year to abate that backup property tax levies, telling the clerk, don't extend and collect these taxes. We're using existing resources. Because of that backup property tax levy, you're required to adopt an authorizing ordinance, which essentially is authorizing you to file this backup property tax levy. And it starts what's called a 30-day backdoor referendum period, where if 7.5% of your voting constituents were to so choose, they petition the issue and force it to referendum ballot. So this is a legal proceeding that we need to do before we can issue the alternate revenue source bonds. The specific authorizing ordinance in front of you tonight is for $3.5 million. That's not what we're issuing. That's authorizing you to issue not to exceed $3.5 million. And the reason we do it for that amount, even though we're generating $1.5 million with this issue, is because the authority is good for a period of 3 years. And therefore, the authority will still be outstanding when we go back to do your next biannual issuance, and it just saves you another newspaper publication filing process.
Why don't we do 3 million?
3 million, give yourself space, just in case, flexibility. You technically could have, but we'd like to give yourself a little bit of buffer based off of how they sell in the markets. Moving on to the second board meeting, we have what's called a Bond Issue Notification Act public hearing. This is scheduled to be held at your May 16th board meeting. This is simply a public hearing that you're required to hold on your intent to issue the bonds. Again, the authority is good for a period of 3 years, so you'll see that amount is for $3.5 million as well, cover the next issue. But then also at the same time, what we'll be doing is a BINA hearing for your annual rollover process as well. So you'll be having those 2 separate hearings specifically for your rollover. And that rollover process, the BINA hearing, is going to cover your next 3 annual rollovers as well. So you're up in the cycle to do that as well. From there, we'll be developing the marketing document, working with the district staff to go through a bond ratings process. We'll look to competitively sell the issue via the public markets in a closed sphere auction on June 20th, at which time we would present the results of the sale to the board for adoption via a bond ordinance at your June 20th meeting, with closing following 2 weeks thereafter on July 9th. Basically, I feel like I covered quite a bit.
What's it cost to rate? What's it cost to rate? Get bonds rated?
To get the bonds rated on this, you can estimate $15,000. That's just the S&P.
What do you think we'll say? We have to get rated to go public, to public market.
I agree, yes.
What do you think we'll say? Percentage?
It's
1, 2?
It's kind of hard for me to say off the top of my head because pretty much everything that goes to public markets is rated. Anything that isn't rated, investors sort of wonder why it's not rated.
But we're talking about the difference between not going to public markets and bank, public market.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's a great question. Even with the cost of engaging an underwriter and the cost of doing a rating, which are the 2 most significant increased costs of doing a public market issue, it's still going to be cheaper than going to your banks because bank placement rates are
Where are they 2%? Because it's
I-
15,000, 1% is 15,000.
I think you could estimate anywhere between 4.5% to 5%.
For the spread between the two.
No, for maybe a public market sale, and then this one I'm seeing probably like 3.6%, Nick. So actually, if you go up to page number 5. Oh, I don't have it on there.
I'm just like, we went to our local bank.
It's something I could certainly
I
test.
mean, we're paying 30, the difference is $30,000, that's 2%.
Yeah, no, it's something
They are
we can
local
certainly.
banks.
I have no problem testing that. We dual track issues all the time. I can certainly reach out to Wintrust and see.
They buy bonds, they go to the public.
Yeah, yeah. Historically, we've sold these through the public markets, but at the same point, it's worth doing the analysis to see.
And I've done a lot of these for
Mhm.
partnerships, as you know. And-
Yeah.
And I find that local banks, if they like it, our bank sure likes us, they're almost the same rates. Maybe these days it's different
Yeah.
because rates are so high.
Well, I can certainly make a note to follow up with your local bank and see where their rates are
1%
at.
is 15,000.
And you're right, when we do that comparison between public and private, we look at the all-inclusive cost of the financing. So we're gonna look at all the costs, including ratings and the underwriting and the lower rates from the public market versus the higher rates from the private placement, the lower cost of issuance, to see what produces the lowest all-inclusive cost of finance. So I will certainly follow up on that for you. And if that is indeed the most effective mechanism for selling the bonds, I can provide that recommendation to you, and there is no substantial change in the timetable. It's just what we do internally to prepare the market.
We'll find out how much your bank likes us.
Yeah, no, that's true too. It's a good way to gauge relationships and which banks are willing to work for you. So, yeah. I will certainly follow up on that avenue and report back to Jason and the team.
That sounds good.
Is that it?
That's it. Again, just so you know, we've got the buying hearing in May, which will cover your annual rollover, and your annual rollover typically happens in, is it October or November?
Usually November,
November.
I think.
November. So
Yeah.
that process will be occurring as well. If you have any questions. or
Yes, sir. We'd like to have the money before the December
December
payments.
payments.
Mhm.
So can we get a motion to approve ordinance 23-24-16, approving up to 3.5 million, bonds? Issuance,
So moved.
second,
Second.
all in favor? Opposed?
We need a
Roll call.
You want a roll call?
Commissioner Heisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobson? Yes. Commissioner Johnson?
yes.
Commissioner Mathias?
Yes.
Commissioner McHale?
Yes.
Commissioner Hagel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson? Yes. Thanks, Aaron.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you for having
Thank
me. See you.
So, the next issue is the executive director contract. Took a look at it. I've got one question. Anybody else? My question, Scott, is on the old contract, you can terminate it without cause. The very last sentence of the termination clause is that the director would have a right to appeal that decision. I don't know on what would the grounds for appeal be of termination without cause? Yeah. So I think it says if it's terminated, it can be terminated without cause, payment of 8 weeks.
No, it says shall have.
That's no right. I don't know. It shows
Sort
no
of, wait. 90.
90.
That's what.
Yeah, it's almost, yeah, right. Shall have no right. All that. Yeah, I said the same. Because overdue appeal, right?
All right, Jason.
And again, I don't have any issues. And that's just. it's a big amount.
Yeah, more.
So it's a 2-year deal, but because of that provision, kind of really neat. Terminate. So, motion to approve the executive director's amendment contract.
I'll make a motion.
Second half. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
The next item, it says approval, but it's actually just discussion. And I'll let Amy look at.
Shazam, right? So I got an email from Burke Play Equipment, and they're offering a sweepstakes, so to speak. It's a lottery. It's, to receive the opportunity for free play. I'm like, wow, this is great. We have many parks in need, and that park is one of our high priorities. It's in the category A in our 5-year strategic master plan. And this play equipment is kind of comparable to what we have now. That said, we have not budgeted for renovating that playground for this next year. But I would like to ask if we could discuss the opportunity of putting this out there. Every person's vote is a vote to count. And the more people we can get to vote in the community, we may get a free play piece of equipment. Now, it would deliver this summer. And so we'd have to take it and, plan to install it sooner than later, which means if we're gonna install a playground, I'd like to ask for some money at that time to actually renovate the playground itself a little bit. Because right now we have plastic curbs, we have that plastic ramp, as you saw in the images. It does need a little help, that playground. And it's a great opportunity. And I do an email or a social media campaign with our marketing group. And I'd ask all the staff to sign up and say, hey, put Crystal Lake Park District as the recipient of this. But I thought it was a great opportunity, and I wanted to share it before and see what you guys thought.
Do you know if Burke is gonna do that daily tally where you can see, oh no, that park district is 15 votes ahead of us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't know that.
Because that would be great for
Once every 24 hours or something.
Yeah.
like that.
those, which cat is the cutest, those things get great audience participation.
Yeah. All I know is it only takes one to win, but it's not about how many, but the more votes you get in there, the better chances to have it. Yeah. So like the lottery, we'll have tickets to buy, chances are increased.
Oh, so
But it said
are
heavy.
they in a draw? How did they?
They're just gonna pick a random number.
It's a draw.
So the more we get.
Yeah.
I have to look.
So the replacement playground is, okay, so if we were gonna do this playground without a giveaway, this is the direction we would go.
This is the piece of equipment that they're giving away, yes, it's
No, I don't, there was no giveaway.
Oh.
Giveaway doesn't exist. You were renovating this park.
Oh,
Is this piece of playground equipment, is this what we would go for?
we would go for a 5 to 12, I would add
Okay.
additional things.
Okay, cause there's this thing,
Yeah.
the existing one looks like it's a little bit for older kids.
Yeah.
Than the giveaway.
Well, the giveaway, the existing is 5 to 12 also.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, this one has a little bit more blocky, I'll call it, features and stuff.
Okay.
What was appealing about this too is it's essentially the same size as what's there, and that's kind of what's needed for that park. We're not gonna put anything much larger than that in there, but like Amy said, maybe do a little smaller amenities around it. But we wouldn't have a big blown up playground in that park.
What is the value of this piece of equipment?
$41,000.
And if we were going to design a playground as we wanted, is that approximately how much we would spend?
No.
What would we spend?
For equipment, I would probably push the envelope and ask for $100,000 for play. Just because, well, we still have to put new swings in, swings need to be renovated. I would do a spinner, I would do a couple other features on top of just the basic play equipment.
This looks like what we have there is a way bigger slide, monkey bars, stuff that,
What
I know it says 5 to 12, but older kids.
There's another slide on the back side of this. See,
Okay.
I admit that the current park looked more appealing than the piece.
Well, and to say to that point, we can definitely add another piece with this that's a little bit more difficult. This is and they, another thing they do offer, Burke does, if if you haven't bought a Burke piece of equipment in X number of years, which we haven't in quite a few years, they give us a discount. So.
So we can add on to this?
Mhm.
So would it have to be installed immediately?
I have to check out. That's a good question. I know the sweepstakes, and you have to receive it. Now whether we have to install it right away. Really doesn't.
I have no doubt that you could come up with a really thoughtful use and how to enhance it and improve it and build out a park. I have no doubt about that. But if we could stash it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Great play, good, here we go.
And you're saying to do that so we can just do it all at one time.
You know,
Yeah.
rather than reacting to a free piece, we could be intentional.
And they do this, well, they do this every year. So it's not like it's a one-off thing.
So Amy, what would they do with the other one that's already existing?
We try and donate all play equipment, we rehabilitate a playground, and if, there's a couple companies we work with, and if they don't accept it, it's accepted.
It doesn't look like it's working.
It's over 20 years,
Oh,
and
okay.
because it's a certain age, we try and keep our play equipment up to standards because of, you know, quality and changes, or changes in safety.
So tiny here, but it's so nice here.
Right.
We're not.
So
This one looks-
what do we want to do?
I mean, it's
serious.
Chris.
I think we were.
Yeah, free is free.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to sound like that.
So that's just that we're
I
gonna do
just
it.
said
It's pretty well.
Yeah.
Get it.
Sure.
we can find a place for it.
And we can always go to a different part too.
Yeah.
I mean, Lippold needs new play equipment. That's on the high on our agenda. We can, again, expand some other play equipment. We can choose whatever color we want.
Little is way cooler than this.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger.
But again, this could be just one piece of the bigger.
Yeah.
But then that's a bigger
That's their
budget.
evil plan, is to get us to add on.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you
Yeah.
get it? Hello,
Marketing,
Oh, totally.
hello.
boss leader marketing.
You got us.
So let's,
So we'll pursue it and see what happens.
yeah,
And I like the idea of a sweepstakes, I think that's fun.
The prize must be ordered by July 31st and shipped date by September 18th of this year. The grand prize is designated for children 5 to 12 with use zone space. And if we win, we have the option of choosing a $5,000 voucher toward the cost of the playground instead. 41,000 versus.
Yeah.
The voucher must be redeemed before the end of the year. Well, I'll keep looking for that, if there's an end date.
I would think they would shove it in with those other dates.
yeah.
Good. That's good news.
Just a few updates. First, I want to give a kudos to Ann and her staff at the front desk for handling the sales of the boat stickers and our new key fobs. The new gate system seems to be working flawlessly.
Yeah.
But the challenge we're having is apparently have people knowing the horsepower of their motor is an issue for about every third customer.
If they don't know the horsepower and they're willing to just pay a high rate, can you just let them do that?
Yes, and that's what the literature says.
Mhm.
The people that kind of go in between, it's like, all right, well, you didn't pick the lowest one, so you're probably already the middle. But the direction I gave to Ann and the front desk was that if it becomes an issue, just take what they say. We're not gonna create issues, but let them know next year we do get some sort of. The attitude in which Ann and her staff have been met with by some of the public, and it's not about price, it's about having to provide all the documentation that's required to get your sticker to get on the lake. has frankly been appalling. The way that some of these community members feel it's okay to treat the staff. to
Well,
the
we're
point.
used to the city hall.
Yeah, but then they used to have to go to two.
Well, hold on a second. City hall was super easy. You went in there, and you did it by hand, and you were done in 2 minutes. So.
Right, and
we
I'm
don't-
guessing they had to check much of the city. That's kind of what we're assuming.
At the city, they were only charging one fee, motorized or non-motorized, and now we're charging by horsepower, so that's the big difference.
Right, but if people were to come in and say, just charge me the max, could we still get it done pretty quickly?
We still need proof of registration and all that, which we've always taken care of, which they've always had approved, but for some reason, the horsepower thing's throwing this into an issue or something. But yes, if they're willing to pay the full amount, we're not gonna argue with them. But I'm just letting the board know that if some of these attitudes continue with the staff, I may just let some of these people know maybe you need to take a year off. Because they're dropping F-bombs with the staff, they're, you know, the elitist attitude that's being presented to the staff, and, you know, two that we have working at the front desk right now, probably two of the nicest people you ever meet, and one of them had a comment about a patron that. So, I'm just giving you guys a heads up in case you start hearing about things about what people have to do to get their stuff, it's no different than what we do.
Well, it's different than.
Right, and like I said, we can't compare that because we don't know what was done over the city, and a lot of people have said this is different than the city, but it's nice to come to one place. So, there's been that, and it's not everybody, but the ones that have been really nasty have just been outrageous.
Well, I did hear from a couple, was about horsepower. And one did say, I said, charge me the max, and maybe that will work.
And that's what the literature says, that if you can't prove it, you're gonna have to pay the back.
Well, that's what.
Most people aren't gonna want to do.
That's what it's said. Pay the max, in which case,
Yeah.
probably don't need to worry about the horsepower.
No, we just put unspecified and then charge the $200 fee. There are the
That
problem
option.
that helps, but then there's people that they don't want to pay that $200.
That's their problem.
And then those are the tough ones.
Yeah. Well, no, I understand.
And what we're finding too is when they send the registration to the DNR is not putting 2 horsepower on the registration.
Confirmation receipts.
So that's where some of the rough too, but anyway, overall, it seems to be going well, it's just a lot of data entry and they're doing an outstanding job of advancing it. And thanks to Eric and Amber for getting the new key fob system in place, it seems to be working really well. Certainly an improvement over what we had.
Jason, can you please take the front desk people who are getting abused, can you please give them a lunch certificate or something?
And bottom flowers on Friday.
And when this, I mean,
Yeah, we try to treat them well.
yes.
They're still doing it all with a smile.
It's a little bit.
But overall, it seems to be going well, and Anne's done a great job getting to this point. Next Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 11:30, Prairie Ridge, the teen marketing classes, the high school marketing classes will be presenting their team project presentations to us. So if anyone's interested in going, look at, you showed an interest in going, we'll be doing that. I sent an email, the Chamber Awards, annual Chamber Awards dinners, May 23rd from 5:30 to 8, if anyone's interested in attending. Country Club, the Racket Club Outdoor Court Ribbon Cutting ceremony will be on Saturday, April 27th at 9:30. They've got a lot of activities and things planned out there to open up the outdoor courts, even though they've been getting some use already. We'll formally open them. And also as a reminder, the Nature Center exhibit grand reopening will be on June 1st, so we'll get information out to everybody. I'd really like to make sure you have some board members there. We'll be inviting our state legislators. So it was funded with grant money, so we want to make sure that they're interested. I think, yeah, I won't spoil any of this.
Once you guys know the time on that, can you let us know? The June 1st thing?
It'll be in the morning,
It's 10 to 2, that's right now.
Oh, okay,
10 to 2.
okay.
Yeah. And what's really important, it's been mentioned to me a few times by some people that if we can really connect with our state representatives, it really helps us in grant.
You want to finish your report since you started?
Oh, okay. I have some fun photos to share. So nature center staff, I'd like to, the exhibits were delivered on Monday and John I have to say this is in such a tizzy. He is so excited, John Fiorina, with the installation, and they're all, his team is also doing some additional, rehabilitation of some exhibits to make the whole space look fresh and new. So it's not just the new exhibits, it's other spaces within it. It's really nice.
And Amy's is an understatement of what she said about how excited John is. For those of you that know John, he gets pretty excited about some strange things. He came in my office on Monday, he had pictures of the exhibits being delivered. He was so excited. He thought how it was.
He is just so, yeah, he's really. And, the board update, couple things, the Rotary Shelter, it's gonna start soon, probably in the next couple weeks. So they're gonna put fencing up soon and that'll come down and it'll be a process, because once they pour the concrete, it has to cure for at least 15, 20 days before they can actually install the filter and stuff. But very exciting, we're gonna have that. And then, you'll notice, what else is there? Exhibits, got the racket club. We're gonna have a planting day for the nature center upcoming, which is mentioned in the report. We'll let you know that sooner than later, but it'll be in May, and that's it, pretty much. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, we're just getting ready, we're gearing up now for grass cutting, change of seasons and everything like that, so we're a bunch of training, posted a training with Moderna earlier this week, and I was going to get my second year. So we had some playing to practice, and we're excited, ready to go. Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to talk about the Nature Center, the Racket Club opening, and our teen program. But I think we've covered those. The only thing I will say about the Nature Center, I mean, Amy, even with the pictures, is underselling it. It looks great. It smells like new car when you walk in. So that's, I mean, it just feels better, or just has a better ambiance to it. Summer registration opens up in a couple of weeks. But one of the things that's very interesting about summer registration, we have our summer camp guide that goes out. Our summer camp, some of them are just completely full. We have no more weeks left. So next summer, we're actually going to be approaching District 47 to see if we can potentially get another site from them to use. Because at this point, the maximums we're hitting aren't related to finding staff or anything like that. It's just purely we don't have enough space to accommodate everybody. So it was a crazy summer last year, and we're anticipating a fun and crazy summer again this year.
Did we talk at all about doing nature camp at all at the nature center?
The Nature Center has a few things going on with it, along with some expanded trips that we're going to be able to start including now that we have the new stuff. So there'll be much more interaction with the Nature Center. I don't know if we were able to get a full camp going. We've got some additional teen nature camps, like our Lake Leisure Camp. I don't know if that's going to run. Those ones, we don't quite have the numbers yet, but where some of the other ones that are more daycare, people need that months in advance. Some of the other, like the Lake Leisure, the nature part of it, they can kind of wait until we get closer to Memorial. So.
I just wanted to ditto what Jason said about the front desk and working hard with all the boats and the stickers, but that's all new this year. And then we are sending our first payment to Lakewood this Friday for April 1 through April 14th. So we're going to do a 2-week schedule on that. We have 199 motorized, non-motorized decals and 162 motorized decals from April 1 through 14 that we're then passing on those payments to Lakewood for that. We also received the city developer money. So that'll be in this year's fiscal budget. Yay. And the impact fee, sorry. It's a whole list of people. It was over 800,000.
That's all, Crystal.
That's just Crystal. And then I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for getting in their statement of economic interest. So we're all filed and done with that. Yay. And
None of that related to the development. ballpark.
So,
Some of those.
yeah, very little, because it just got started.
Yeah, they provide a list of what's included in that amount. I just didn't get a chance to review it, but if you.
Towards five.
mm,
That's the bulk of this for.
Where is it?
Past the, by the fountain.
Oh,
Yeah.
up like
By the-
Oak Grove.
Across from the
Oak Grove.
Casey.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, I didn't see it.
Thank you.
It's all on
You
it.
won't even recognize it.
That's where the bulk of.
How does this 830?
Oh.
Last year, it's more than last year, but last year it was just over 800, this year it's 885.
The year before, I don't think we received any. And I'd have to look back farther than that.
It's really just started.
31.
Mhm. So, so.
Right.
That was all my additional information, but I'll entertain questions if you had any from the written material.
You kind of skipped over discussion, I think. Well, yeah, could we go back to September and inquire about the health center? I'm sorry, what?
I'm just one vote, I'm not.
What makes you wanna do that?
I think it is our best chance that are having a facility with pools and fitness center that we could possibly afford.
I think it went out of business for a reason. I think it went out of business for a reason.
I work at the Huntley Northwestern facility, and I tell you, they have a huge booming business, huge booming business.
That one is in business. Still in business.
Well, we wouldn't, okay. We have not discussed what purpose we would see for that fitness center. I wouldn't think we would be trying to replicate the same model. I would think we would be doing something different with it, but it's sitting empty. We talk about wanting a recreation center and pools. I truly think it's, for the size of our community, it's the only affordable way to get it done.
Any thoughts?
I mean, I wouldn't oppose looking into it, depending on the price that would require to do something.
Well, didn't we do that? Yeah.
Well, but yeah,
No.
but that,
What do we do, give them the same offer?
Right, well, that's the thing, they didn't wanna talk
but
about
maybe
it.
after sitting for a while, maybe it would change.
Don't you think they would come to us? though?
Northwest hangs that property.
They know, yeah, that was their plan.
They can
Yeah,
come to us.
they have state plans.
They market.
Wasn't it that they told us to give them a number?
Correct, and we didn't.
That was.
There's still no price.
I think what we're looking for is like a legit Olympic sized pool, not so much all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna allow
That is all true, but I don't see us building the size of our community and the fact that it's residential. I don't see us coming up with millions of dollars to build a community pool to build an Olympic-sized pool, nor do I see an Olympic-sized pool representing the best needs of the community. It represents just a small fraction. I think a need for a pool and a recreation center. And if we looked at that facility was serving an older population and keeping them fit and healthy, and that's where our community is going, I think it serves a need.
I don't know if that facility is going to be the answer to that. I agree that like, sure, our community can use that, it can use that, it can use an indoor track. There's a lot of things, but I think it's gonna be necessary to explore other ways of doing it that aren't that facility.
I just wonder how many people from Helfrich and Crystal Lake transferred over to one.
Right.
Some have even checked in, some
I'm sure they
people,
And
I mean, from.
that could be part of the reason why they're succeeding, because they're combined.
It's a really beautiful facility.
It's, yeah, it's gonna work, yeah.
That outdoor pool has not been open since pre-COVID. That outdoor pool, I thought we looked into that, and that outdoor pool is just, I wouldn't touch that, I wouldn't touch that thing on football. And the indoor pool is not a diving pool, so you can't have, it's a therapy pool and it's not.
They have a regular pool.
They have a regular.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's not.
It's only a 25.
There's no deck,
Yeah.
There's no.
So
dive.
no,
It's the same, it's the same size as the one.
Yeah.
So that, but the white hat.
Well, the Y has a, but the, yes, but then the Y has the addition, you know, the, which is a, diving pool.
So it sounds like there isn't a consensus that we would like to find out if it was affordable and we can purchase it.
I'm a no.
I don't know.
I did in the past and we went through this, so I would love it to be not a no, but I'm a no too.
I mean, based on some of that information that was just presented, at this point, I'd be a no. But I mean, if Northwestern came and said, well,
Right.
we'll give you a great deal, then I would consider it. But I don't see that
We've
happening.
never had such an outpouring of community members at a meeting like we did, asking us to buy it, and
But they didn't
They
understand.
didn't know the financial.
Yeah, the costs.
But Northwestern didn't want to sell it.
And they didn't, they didn't want to play.
Minor.
Yeah.
It's a small.
Yeah,
the fact that they didn't want to sell it, I think is the biggest thing. I think it were available. I think asking if they were interested in reopening discussions would give us a way to get information about, yes, is it available? Yes, is it affordable? And then we can make a decision. I think not knowing if it's available and if it is affordable, we're just saying no before we.
I mean, it's not a for sale.
I
It's
think we're-
not, they don't care.
They're extremely shrewd. We come at them in this manner. We're only gonna get, we're
Yeah.
gonna get it.
Their tax write-off right now, yeah, it's not.
We're not gonna. Anything.
No.
As far as price goes. I'm sorry.
I don't know, it feels like here we asked Erin to go to the banks to just see possibly if they wanted to do something. And I don't see how it's a whole lot different than going to Northwestern and asking the same sort of question.
Because we already did.
Asking.
It's exactly, it's not even close to, I'm asking them if you can go and what interest rate you charge. Not.
Potentially saving money.
Yeah, it's, the cheaper equipment.
Different functions, but asking, you get an answer. Okay, I'm willing to drop this, okay? I'm willing to drop it.
Anything else? There's from. Any more matters from the board?
The eclipse was really cool.
Oh, yeah, especially the.
That was great. I happened to be offered
article about
that
it
day.
with the nature center.
So I went over.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I'm like, it's a Monday afternoon. I know Kurt and I were like, doesn't anybody work? I'm like, well, I have the day off today, so maybe Ellen does too, but it was amazing. It was all ages.
Yeah,
You
thank
guys provide
At
those
park,
glasses or no?
Monday afternoon.
Our Nature Center was smart enough to buy a bunch of the glasses beforehand, so people kept
They all got
coming up.
sold out?
We're like, we don't have any. We're like, here you go, here you
Yeah.
go. And
Oh, that's
the,
cool.
the Hill provided a great venue
Yeah.
for people not only to look up and see the eclipse, but also just an awesome view of pond and VA as a whole. So it was,
And
it was-
great day. for
it
weather.
was a gorgeous day. So it worked
Yeah,
out
it
really,
did.
really well.
I'm sure.
They did.
Mhm.
I saw on social media, there's people that posted pictures and stuff. It's really cool. And the accessibility of the sidewalk around the nature center, I really appreciated seeing folks in wheelchairs and stuff that were able to, like get out to a place in nature and be able to see that with their families.
And
It was
with
really
District
well done.
47 not having the kids go outside, there were a lot of people that came or that pulled their kids out of school.
Go
and
over there.
came.
It's funny, when I drove to the nature center, there was literally one parking spot about 3 blocks away from the nature center, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna take that.
Yeah.
So I drove to some other parks in Lipple, there had to be 80 people out there just sitting in lawn chairs like this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They were everywhere.
Love that.
It was really
Yeah,
cool.
that was great.
It was really neat. And then one more thing, last night I was doing a presentation at Barrington Library. And a Crystal Lake resident came up to me and said that the restoration that has happened at Fetzer Park, she's so happy with it. Every time she drives past that and sees the native plants there, that is inspiring her to put native plants in her yard.
Aw,
I was
Look at
like,
that.
I'm passing this on, that's amazing. So, super cool. That was a difficult project in the beginning, obviously before my time on the board, but I remember the pushback that you guys got for that.
It got difficult a couple weeks ago, but
Well, here's some good news. Here's somebody who is really, really happy. Yeah. And okay.
and, my students are super thrilled that they got hired.
I'd love to say that I took your advice and recommended all of them, but most of the ones that you gave me already, when I talked to the staff, they're like, oh, we already interviewed them. They're great. So it just further helped that, but no, we've got a really good group of kids, it looks like, this summer. So fingers crossed, it should work out well for staff.
Well, Central. I'm at Central.
Anything else? We had
real quick, the golf learning center lights, they were supposed to be put up, the shields were supposed to be put up today, didn't happen, they're gonna be out there tomorrow. Kirk's been orchestrating this in Bill's absence, and, we're getting there. Trying not to sink the new lift they're bringing in tomorrow. So, just wanted to, in case anyone here.
Pretty wet. We want to talk about the request for the field lacrosse.
Oh, the wall.
Yeah.
We can, I mean, I was gonna talk about that in maybe open, more of a committee meeting discussion, so that'll be on the agenda.
I think there's only one possible executive session matter that would be regarding the board attendance, so. No.
That's
So if somebody wants to make the motion to go into executive session, do that. 2C3.
I'd like to move that we go into executive session to discuss board member performance 2C3.
For a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Yes. Commissioner Jacobson,
No.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Mathias,
No.
Commissioner McHale,
No.
Commissioner Kegel,
Yes.
Commissioner Heisler,
No.
Commissioner Anderson.
All right, meeting adjourned.